I grew up getting abused from my father and stepmother. As soon as I turned 18 I went off and got married. Yeah, let me say it for you. I was young, stupid and naive. I grew up not knowing what love really felt like. And right when my husband came along he gave me a glimpse of what I thought was love at the time and I just didn't want to let go. I was scared to let go. The love was great while it lasted. Not even 3 years in he had already cheated on me. First it was emotional, then it turned into physical. He would always threaten to leave me and pack his suitcase. And me, scared of being lonely, the stupid and desperate me would always get on my knees and beg him to stay. I'll change, I always tell him. To keep myself from going insane I got a job at a fast food to keep me busy. Plus we needed the income because he would never have a stable job. If I didn't make enough money I would get beat. And if I worked long hours I would come home to a locked door. If he wasn't in the mood to drive me to work I took the bus, even though I got my license. Some days if I didn't have enough money for the bus I walk. And if I come home late I was cheating. One day I came home late because I didn't have enough for the bus so I walked. I got home late and he pulled me into the house with my hair and started slapping me. Asking where I was and who I was with. I was crying so hard that I couldn't answer. He then started kicking me. After a few blows I blacked out for a few minutes. When I woke up I noticed a lot of blood coming out of me. He got scared and took me to the hospital. We found out that day that I was pregnant and had miscarried. The DRs noticed bruises and had asked me what happened. My husband said I fell down the stairs. I had to stay in the hospital for a few days because of blood loss due to the miscarriage. My husband would bring me food and apologize. He would cry and ask for my forgiveness. He say it was the alcohol and he wasn't himself that day. He promised me that he will change. I believed him. Income tax came along and I was able to get about $1,500 back. He wanted a car. But his credit was bad. He had promised me that if I got him a car I can drive it to work and it would be mine since it was under my name. Happily I agreed. We then got a small SUV. After 3 days I never drove it again. I wasn't allowed, or I'm just going to take it to flirt. One day I wasn't feeling so good at work. I was having headaches and called him to come pick me up. But he didn't answer so I took the bus home. When I got home the car was parked in the driveway. I thought he was sleeping. Turns out he was, but with a girl next to him. I was furious and we argued. I took off to my dad's house and stayed there for a few days. My husband didn't even care. He didn't even come ask for forgiveness or ask for me to go back. Every time I would bring up divorce my stepmom would threaten my dad to pick me or her. She said I was a disgrace and kept telling me to go back. A few days after work I went to my stepmom's house to find my clothes outside the door. My stepmom said I was bad luck and that to go back to my husband's house. I'm not welcome there because they didn't want a bad reputation. My father told me your mom is going to leave me because of you, you're bad luck. Don't come back unless you're with your husband. I went back and again and I begged him to take me back with every pride I had left. One day instead of going to work I took the bus to visit my mom's grave. I was so depressed and suicidal. I cried and cried for hours just begging her to come take me. I came home and saw the same girl he was sleeping with a few weeks before. Furious we argued again. He then told me he didn't want me no more. He said I was a bad person, that's why my baby miscarried, and that no one loves me. He wanted me out. I got on my knees and begged him to change his mind. And that I would change and that he can still bring the girl over. I wouldn't be mad no more. He slapped and punched me a few times and left with his girl in her car. He told me that by the time he comes back he wants me out. I called my dad and he told me to go somewhere else and not there. I started scrolling YouTube and then I saw my mom's favorite song. Once I played it I just started bawling. I cried and cried for hours. I was just thinking of taking my life then. I started thinking about my mom. I started reminiscing to my childhood days, my happy days, and when my mom was still alive. I played the song all night. Strangely, listening to the music it seems like my mom was with me, talking to me. I then realized I didn't want that life anymore. I stared out the window and saw the car we got together. I realized then that the car was under my name. Got the keys and packed up all my clothes, a few blankets and pillows. And with the few hundreds I had left I drove for a few days. I didn't have no phone, internet, or anything to get in contact with. I just wanted to be alone. I often stopped at a beach and just enjoyed the scenery. I realized I was less sad day by day. I lived in my car for a few days, and after collecting my thoughts and pulling myself together I finally realized my shoulder wasn't as heavy no more. It was getting lighter and lighter by the day. I would often visit the library and soon I got a job using their computer. Few months and I rented my own place, sold my car, and got a new one. I also went back to school and is now a nurse. 5 years have passed and I never been happier with my life. Even though sometimes I think back. Although I have cut ties with them, I don't hate them. I realize now that it wasn't their fault. It was mine. I shouldn't be forcing someone to love me. Now that I let go, it seems they are now looking for me. Every now and then my ex tried to talk to me on Facebook and tries to get me back. Turns out after I left he lost his GF and house. He started staying with family. I am sharing my story because ladies, I just want to say, you will never know what love really is until you start to love yourself. Know your worth and don't lower yourself for someone who don't love you. Love can't and shouldn't be force.